So we're going to go into Star Wars news right now. And not a lot. I think a lot of focus was on Mandalorian, as it should be, in Chapter 9. We did our big discussion and breakdown and reaction review, all those buzzwords that you want to use. But really, it was a long-form discussion that we had a blast. It's so funny because you and I, the first time ever, came down on so-called opposite sides on one particular issue of the show. And everyone, even in our Discord, reached out and was just like, I love how you guys talked about it.
Oh, good.
And you handled it. And in our Discord, which is attached to our Patreon page, if you want to join the ForceCenter Patreon page and get into the Discord, it's quite frankly one of the best kind of communities for Star Wars fans and all of our listeners. It's varied, and some of the reactions are what people will react to. And to see the discussion there was kind of fun for me to monitor all for the week. And when I say monitor, I just swing through and be like, cool, no one's killing each other because no one's going to do that here in ForceCenter. Big disagreements. So that was kind of the dominant news headline was Mando, which Joseph leads into this last minute addition to our news rundown, Mando Mondays.
Yeah.
Pro has been doing this. StarWars.com, they release some new Mando stuff every Monday morning. We're going to just kind of scroll through it. You can get a Build-A-Bear Mandalorian, Build-A-Bear Mandalorian exclusive pram, which I want. It's a plush Baby Yoda and a plush pram. Man, I need that.
Yeah,
so good.
That's real good. I like any of the Baby Yoda stuff that comes with the pram. This bear is amazing, partially because in the image he's got his little paw up as if he's saying hello, and then the pulse rifle in the other paw, which is like, yeah, we can be friends, or there's a pulse rifle. Take your choice, says Mando Bear.
I will disintegrate you. Yeah. That's that. Galaxy Heroes is a little game I don't really play right now, but I know a lot of people do. And Quill has been added to that, and later on they're going to add IG-11, Mandalorian Grief Karga, and Cara Dune in the playable heroes in the fan favorite strategy game. I know it looks good. The Quill looks good, man. I like that. It means something to me when characters we get to meet, Joseph, are suddenly now in other things like video games, because it's just kind of next. Well, they're definitely part of the Star Wars universe for me.
Yeah. I mean, this is part of the history of Star Wars, and one of the things that makes it not unique, but really Star Wars is those characters. We meet them on the screen, we like them, they're in a story, but then they live on in all sorts of weird ways. Everything from a plush bear to a little strategy game on your phone. And it's cool to see these new characters from The Mandalorian take that heritage of Star Wars characters of living on in lots of different ways.
Love that. And living on in the figures, which brings us to like your favorite figure. Talk about
this is great.
Yeah,
this is so great because my finger has been hovering over the buy button on the vintage Mandalorian figure that they've had out, the 3 3/4, which is my favorite. But they've had him in the armor that he only has for the first couple chapters, rather than this silver armor that he spends most of the series in. So I am thrilled that they've got this new vintage Mando that he's in the silver armor. So I cannot wait to pick him up. He makes me so happy just looking at him. And all the Mando action figures, I love Star Wars action figures, obviously. But this Kenner, this vintage look, the retro look, anything that connects it back to the action figures that Favreau and Filoni played with, and a lot of the other people working on the show that inspired this. There's this great connection, full circle that I love. So I'm so excited to smash that buy button on this action figure.
It's hard to turn away from that packaging. It's just so weird. It just strikes something deep inside the soul. Really, you're like, oh yeah, I am 7 again. Please give it to me. Please. I want to be 7 forever.
Yeah. And just such a cool figure. And I've got my Black Series that's sitting on my coffee table, and I took my Baby Yoda Black Series out of the package. So Mando's holding him now. So I get to look at that Mando all the time, and I want this one. So I'm excited for it.
That's great. There is also the Mandalorian Nerf Gun, which is fun. I actually have a couple of those Nerf guns over the years. I don't do anything with them. They're in a garage right now, waiting to be shot, but they're fun. And then the final big one here, Ah, man. Well, we got a Baby Yoda pin, a child pin that is a 3D pin that you can get as well. But I think the big one here, also by price tag, is the Hot Toys 1/4 scale Mandalorian figure, which comes with the child, which has that jacket and the collar, and it's all real because that's what they do there, Sideshow and Hot Toys. It's got the satchel to put the Baby Yoda in. Man, yeah, I wish I had the space, the money, and the ability just to commit to something this big. But
I wish I had the physical and emotional space in my life for these toys.
So, yeah, there you go. That is the Mando Monday.
Yeah.
It's fun to see a new collection of things you just can't commit your allowance money to buy every week, but it's fun.
Yeah. No, and I was wondering how they're going to do it. It makes sense. They did the whole, video with a lot of the actors and creators from the show last week. And then this is great to just have this slow drip every Monday. I'm excited for that.
Yeah. They also released those Mandalorian character posters and Cobb Vanth and everything. And that was cool too. Adding great shots too. Like, who doesn't like a good backdrop of banthas on your computer?
Yeah.
Suggest checking that out. In some of the main stories that we're looking at right now, Meet the Baddies, High Republic villains revealed. We already knew about the Nile, spelled Nihil, and they also got a reference in the new Star Wars mainline, which Charles Soule's writing. There is Tarkin talks about them, which is the connections to the High Republic, and Luke goes to a temple that was probably we're going to learn more about in the High Republic. So that stuff's starting to emerge. We already knew it, but now we get a little bit more details over at StarWars.com. Dan Brooks sitting down with Lucasfilm Publishing creative director Michael Siglain, and Michael says the team, which included the publishing side, the story group, the authors, everyone who sat and really has been working on High Republic for years now, they asked the question, what scares the Jedi? And they wanted it to be something new. Joseph, from a distance, what do you think scares the Jedi?
Yeah, I mean, this is a quote that they've thrown around for a while, and I really wanted it to be that the Jedi were scared not only by someone who represented some level of physical threat and was hard to maybe physically defeat, but more importantly, the Jedi would be scared by something that attacks their philosophy, or something that their philosophy of, how they go about protecting peace and justice. It is challenging for them on a philosophical level to deal with the villains, has always been what I want that to mean of what scares the Jedi. Not like, oh no, they're too big and it takes too much energy to throw them over. Like, yeah, that's a part of it. But what is philosophically frightening about the villains, I've been wondering about and hoping that that's the direction they're going to take since I first heard this quote of what scares the Jedi, which I think was in the big first reveal. Because I remember we did a breakdown with Alex and Molly of Star Wars Explained on that first big reveal. And I remember us all talking about that, of what scares the Jedi. So this is so great to get just a little bit more information about the Nile and the total reveal of this other villain, so we can start diving into, yes, to me, it does seem like it's philosophical reasons as well as physical, practical reasons that the Jedi would be scared of these foes.
I like that. Well, let's take a dive. First up here are the Drencher. That's what I'm saying. I'm sure in Star Wars it will be different than what you think, and then change later on. The Drencher, Drengir. How would you say that, Joseph?
Drencher.
All right, we're in the same boat there. All right. So as the Jedi struggle to deal with the aftermath of the Great Disaster, which we know kind of launches this entire series of stories, a new creeping terror rises from the ground beneath their feet. The Drencher are sentient plant life who are looking to reap a terrible harvest across the galactic frontier. This, and then design, they got the design. It looks like, you're going to need Monster Squad to go get it. It is... it's something different. What do you think about this? This is a monster, but also a plant life. A lot going on, and I didn't write down here, but it directly affects the fate of a High Republic, High Jedi Master, High Council member.
Yeah, so being tied to it in some way. I love this. This is so great from a lot of different perspectives. Sounds like from the article, Kevin Scott was one of the main architects of the Drencher, of pushing them into prominence here in the High Republic with all the other storytellers. I really like them because I think Star Wars always has to have that new and old, and it's got a continued kind of pull from the different other genres that have been out there for more pop culture, bizarre storytelling. And the plant life is kind of perfect for Star Wars because Star Wars is so much about the organic. So it's kind of perfect for Star Wars, but it's also kind of new to Star Wars, but it's also kind of old. Kevin Scott, in particular, being a big Doctor Who fan, there's a Doctor Who monster called the Crinoid, which is, out of control plant life, which itself was a riff on the British horror story book and movie Day of the Triffids. This kind of connects to, in my mind, to Poison Ivy stuff from Batman stories. It's sometimes those plants are sentient. It's mostly her advocating that plant life deserves, the same level of respect. That's a general theme that pops up in lots of different storytelling of, what if somebody believed that plant life is being looked down upon by other kinds of sentient beings. So it's pulling from this great history from all sorts of different sources and putting this Star Wars spin on it. So I really love it. It's also got some connections to cosmic horror, Cthulhu, Lovecraft kind of elements of monsters that scare us because they work so differently than us. We're always scared of things that we can't quite understand. And if, these monsters aren't just like, hi, I'm these plants and these tentacles and these vines, and that's what I am. But if it's more like, is it a connected species? And they can constantly change, mutate their form. And, you're not dealing with, this is Ted, the Drencher, and here's Beth over here, but they're like merging and changing. That gets into this different, it's scary on this different level because it is so different from us, and we need to understand it to deal with it.
Yeah, the idea of the Jedi trying to connect with every, the Force, which connects every part of the galaxy, right? And here you got, oh, look at those nice plants. Oh, it's trying to kill me now, and just immediately having that kind of conflict with the organic and stuff like all the things, all the great examples you're given here too, of what it could be. That's just really different. I can't immediately predict what's going to happen. With the Nile, we're going to talk about it in a second. I actually really like what's coming out with the Nile, but you can look and go, all right, at some point there's going to be a fight.
Yeah.
This one, I mean, sure, I guess you could hack and slash a sentient plant life monster, but how, just it sets up something entirely different. So I'm more excited, and that's not necessarily my thing. I'm not not a huge Cthulhu fan. I've played a few of the games where I've had to roll dice to kill the monsters, but it's not generally my thing. But I look at this and I go, it's just, it's reminiscent of that in a cool way, but I personally just can't predict right away what it's going to be. And so now I'm intrigued. Now I want to turn the page.
Yeah. And you were really touching on what I think is going to challenge them specifically philosophically or scare them. If it is the kind of thing where there is a mound of sentient plants that want something, and the Jedi can't actually stop it because if you you hacked apart those plants, good for you. The sentience just moved over to some other plants to the left. Like you can't just cut them down. So that's scary because it's on a practical level how you deal with them. But philosophically, if it is like the Jedi are like, we respect all life, and some sentient plant life basically takes over an entire planet. They, in theory, that you would want to the Jedi would just want to let it be and let it be its own life form. But if that life form wants to kill, do we need to devastate all vegetation on a planet? That's really not our philosophy, but that vegetation is going to kill everybody there. Damn, what are we going to do? That challenges them.
Yeah. What's the, oh gosh, we already got one of the Jedi listed in the High Republic that feels really connected with nature and sees himself as a tree, right? It's
yes.
the Wookiee Jedi.
Yes.
So you drop him in the middle of that, right? It's interesting. It's something that I would not have gone. Again, this is why I'm not on a writing team writing the High Republic. I would not have been like, let's have plant monsters. But it's more than that. And what you're describing, it's more than that. It's going to represent a lot of different things and challenges. So it's cool. That's different. The Drencher. And that's going to be a cool figure, just a blobby plant monster.
Yep. He-Man's Moss Man, step out of the way. Here come the Drencher.
In addition to the Drencher, we got the Nile, as I said, the aforementioned Nile, and we learned a little bit more. They have 3 main divisions called Tempests. The divisions are called Tempests, which are run by captains, and they answer to Tempest runners. And as mentioned before, they are marauders and raiders, but they answer to their own code of take what we want. So first I want to ask you there, Joseph, knowing a little bit more, we are familiar with the marauders, raiders. This is a new frontier type of vibe. They're pirates out there, Vikings, if you will, whatever example you want to give. We've known that. But to know that there is a rank, structure, a code that they aspire to stick to and work to and believe, what do you think about that, knowing a little bit more about the Nile?
Yeah, I like that they have playing around with these ideas that pop up in Star Wars a lot between the Mandalorian and the Jedi and the Bounty Hunters Guild of like, we have a code, we have a structure, this is the way we do it, but our code is take everything we want, and that's it. That's the primary mission is really cool because I think that's going to challenge the Jedi in a different way than the Drencher because the Jedi want to find common ground, right? They're trying to keep peace and justice and defend when possible. But it's interesting to me if the galaxy's in a little bit of chaos because of the Great Disaster, and these Nile are just popping up suddenly and violently. That's not like a planet that's having a disagreement that the Jedi can go mediate, right? They can't really defend if they're just popping up suddenly. So then there's that choice of like, okay, do we have to be proactive? Do we have to go find out where the Nile live and, take them out? And also, if the Nile's whole philosophy is take what you want, that's not a philosophy that the Jedi can meet halfway. So that's scary for them to face philosophically of we've maintained peace and justice for a long time while we've been able to live up to our ideals. And here's someone who's going to force us into, you got to fight us, live or die, if you want to save other people, you got to take us down.
Yeah. Conflict, despite what we maybe thought growing up in the 80s, not what Jedi love running into fights.
No, the Jedi want to sit somewhere peacefully on a nice lawn, maybe reading a book or discussing philosophy. And now pirates might suddenly come out of nowhere and start slaughtering people, and the grass under the ground while they're talking philosophy might start attacking them. It's not a peaceful time for the poor Jedi.
And for me, it is, I enjoy the idea of there's a little bit more of a structure than what was originally pitched, or, again, they're dropping little bits of information along the way. My view of them until this moment were crazy kind of rar pirates going to go cause problems in the galaxy, which is great. I get that as a threat on the surface. I don't want it to sound like it's the Empire or a bad guy army, but like to have some desires behind what they're doing, have some purpose, a little structure, a little focus, to have leaders. I don't need it to be just simple, galaxy domination, galaxy conquest, but it just adds a little weight for me that I enjoy, knowing that it's not just craziness. Because I'm one that's always like, I don't like the idea of, we're going to get Kenobi series. He's going to fight a bunch of space pirates. Like, oh, great. But I want something more than that,
Right.
A dust up in the street. I want some deep. And so we have almost an opposing army, and it's not going to be the Clone Wars again or generals in the Jedi ranks. It's going to be something a little different. But just to know that there's a purpose towards or purpose behind the marauding and what they're working toward. That's what I like.
Yeah. It's great that they have a specific philosophy, and maybe they're building to something, but maybe it's not galactic domination. Maybe it's just like, we want to be the best pirates ever, and we are terrorizing everyone everywhere.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, and good point. I don't necessarily need someone trying to sit on the throne of this galaxy, but just to have a little bit more. And at the head of the ranks, we want you to meet Marchion Ro. Marchion Ro is maybe how we'll say it right now. I don't know. How you want to say that one, Joseph?
Marchion Ro.
Okay, there we go. We'll run these through a symposium of name pronunciations. And the current Eye of Nile is what he is, and that is like his father before him. So now we have legacy going on here. Much of what makes the Nile more than raiders comes from him, says the article. And then Daniel Jose Older adds that the Nile are truly unlike any Star Wars villains we've seen before. So, man, and this goes back to what scares the Jedi and everything there. So how do we feel, putting this all together, Joseph, how do we feel some marauders and raiders that take what they want will scare the Jedi? We got how the plant life will scare the Jedi, but how are they going to scare the Jedi? We talked about some philosophy already here, but what are you thinking here?
Yeah, I really think it is that that they do have a society, they do have a culture. So in theory, the Jedi would want to respect that. But if their culture is pop out of the shadows where there's crisis and rob from innocent people, terrorize innocent people, kill innocent people. On the one hand, the Jedi are like, we are the guardians of peace and justice, so we got to do something about that. But we can't figure out what to do about that because we can't bring them to the table for a philosophical discussion. Their philosophy is screw you, I take what I want, and you can't meet halfway with somebody whose only philosophy is take what I want. You can't be like, how about if you just take half what you want? Like last time you visited this planet, you killed 50 people. Could you just do 25? Could you just murder 25? Like that's not a philosophy you can meet halfway, but that really endangers the Jedi's philosophy of wanting to only use the Force for knowledge and defense. To say the only way we can do that is figure out their culture. We got to figure out where this Eye of Nile is and why is he the center of things? We got to go and cut him down. But that's not what we do. Like, I think that's where it's going to come from is my guess.
Yeah, I like that there. I'm really intrigued by, this little curveball that's come in late into the marketing, obviously baked in the story of the Nile on one side and now the sentient plant life on the other. It's a weird, wonderful little sci-fi, which Star Wars is and isn't at times. I don't know. It's an interesting landscape. Because I think I've just been excited about the High Republic being a place for Jedi to really question and think about what's going on in their brains and hearts and souls. And now we got this stuff going on. I like it. I don't know. I'm getting more and more excited for this series.
Yeah, these seem like good villains to tackle some of those Jedi philosophies questions, but make them active. And I kind of like this. I like the Drencher were an idea that we're like they'll be there too, and that they've grown a little bit, because that's an interesting way to challenge the Jedi if they really are at their peak of just it's really when it rains it pours. We got a couple problems that we don't know exactly how to deal with, and we're trying to expand the galaxy, and there was just this great accident, and now we got these two different threats. It's a great way to challenge them, is just to put too much on their damn plates.
Yeah, well, out of generations of peace, and now they got this. It's going to be as the galaxy expands, which again is something I really like too. Just it is a new frontier going on. And on a very surface level, Marchion Ro, his design, kind of Sedan Ithano looking there. I really like that design. That's a design that I'd love to see pop up elsewhere too. And just have the character. I'm not already saying get him to a Mandalorian season 7. I'm just saying, I like it. That's a good Star Warsy design.
Is a very good Star Wars design, really building on what's come before, but still looks unique. And I like also that the artwork has made it clear, and some of these interviews, that this is also like Mandalorians. This is a little bit of a creed, right? Because it's not a species. I mean, we're seeing Twi'leks and humans and Zabraks who are a part of this. Right.
Yeah. No, I like that too. An all-star team of villains. I'll take that. Final thought out of this one, because they are asking this. I think our answers, particularly some stuff you've said here, it kind of would filter its way down to this answer here. But what makes a good Star Wars villain to you?
Yeah, I think it's a couple things. I think it is that combination of the new and the old. I like that Star Wars takes things that we are kind of deeply familiar with as a culture, that maybe even taps back as far as, ancient myths that different cultures have told, and then adds the weird Star Wars flavor on top of it. And I kind of like that the big reveal is the Jedi are going to fight pirates and evil plants. Because it's straightforward genre stuff, but they're putting this Star Wars spin on it that ties the villains into challenging the kind of thematic ideas of Star Wars. Of the organic is usually in Star Wars the place you go to reconnect with truth and light and nature and the natural way of things, and turning that on its head. And now the organic is this insidious, creeping problem beneath your feet, and the pirates in a time where the galaxy is expanding and the Jedi are trying to bring as many people into the Republic as possible, to have people like, we don't want to be a part of anything, we just want to take things. I think a good villain is one that has these deep mythic roots, just plain old looks cool, looks scary, and then challenges some of the core themes.
Yeah, so where I go to, I'll say what I just love about what's going on here in the High Republic, what's intriguing to me, and then try to answer my own question here. But just we're so used to, I'll take the prequels and set them aside a little bit on this answer. But the original trilogy, the sequel trilogy, it is so much the bad guys, the villains, the bad team are kind of the ones in control for the most part. First Order, you could debate. They kind of emerge and take control, but they take a militaristic control of the country of the galaxy a little bit later on in the series. And our heroes are always trying to take things back, right? They're always resisting it, which is beautiful and works well. So to have that kind of reversed right here is something that's interesting to me. Then just on the surface of the Nile might be trying to. They're the rebels in a way here. I don't know. It's different for me. Again, Separatist Republic, you could look at it a little differently. But then, so it is what it is. Like, I'm thinking, what's my favorite Star Wars villains? Really, for me, it's Kylo Ren, because of I like a villain that's going to tell you something that might not be wrong. It's not right, but you look at it and go, okay, you're confusing me. You're making me think. And I need to find my way to the light side and through your garbage, but you're putting some stuff up there that's coming from your journey. And so I'm trying to take that from Kylo. Darth Vader's a little different. Palpatine's not right, but you know what I mean? Like, he's a menace and he's going to get in your head. To take that and if the Nile have any of that, and who knows if the Drencher going to speak? I'm a plant. But even if they do, are they going to have something like, hey, it's our Galaxy 2 kind of vibe? Yeah. That's the kind of stuff I like. And if the Nile are, again, that's why I think maybe that's why I might be more intrigued than I thought of they have structure. If they're, again, we're going to take what we want. We're going to take this galaxy from you. And by the way, here's some of the things going wrong out here that you can't deny, Jedi. And even though, you can break it down and find the right in it and find the wrong in what they're saying, on the surface, it just kind of creates that philosophical debate that you're talking about, Joseph. And I think that's kind of what makes a good Star Wars villain for me. Yeah. That makes any sense.
It does. It does. I think I think what I hear you describing is there's a lot of great villains start from this point where you can empathize with them because they're like, hey, I have a good point about a problem or a hypocrisy that needs to be addressed. And you're like, good point, villain. And then the villain's like, and so I'm going to selfishly slaughter people and rage and not do anything to actually resolve the problem that I'm talking about. I'm just going to lash out because of it. And you get to go on this great roller coaster of like, you've brought up a problem that needs to be addressed. Oh, not like that. Not like that. And I feel like these villains are probably set up to do something similar like that.
Yeah, on this level. And Vader and Maul are a little different for me. Like Vader has a lot of what you're saying there too, but it's like already he's just his own tragedy, and the real villain to me is Palpatine, right? In a way,
right? Yeah, but I mean, by the prequels, get to show us what Anakin's gone through. Right. You can empathize more with Vader, even though he's does horrific things.
Yeah. And oddly we root for him at times, right? Maul is his own thing too. I have a lot of empathy for Maul too. That's why I think that powerful final moment with him and Obi-Wan in the Twin Sons episode of Rebels is great, but a little different. And I'll tell you what, more excited than I thought I would be for the Nile. And I already thought they looked cool, but I always want more than cool. I think we're gonna get that, Joseph.
Yeah. I think my final thought is like, big Star Wars villainy. A lot of it has. You're doing a deep dive on the individual characters, some of the big ones we know, like Vader and Kylo. But there's also been always this sort of large, mechanized, rigid army, right? The endless sea of stormtroopers or battle droids. So I like that this is these are all creeping terrors, like literally creeping plants and pirates that can pop out of nowhere. And there isn't that same sort of a huge mechanization. And I think that makes them different. And I think it's always fun to meet the new villains, because that we talked about it when we did our big Power of Evil or Power of the Dark Side deep dive type episode, where, Star Wars is a fun place to safely play around with enjoying the darkness without actually doing anything too horrible. And it looks like it's going to be fun to, get to imagine yourself, being Manchian Row, or imagine yourself being the Drencher, but not actually do horrible things.
Not do horrible things. Speaking of cool villains in Star Wars, Thrawn is set to face a new enemy in Thrawn Ascendancy, Greater Good. Greater Good. We got this. This is going to come out May the 4th, 2021, Star Wars Day in the new year. And let's read what we got here. Well, Thrawn's latest triumph still rests newly on his shoulders, despite leading the Chiss to victory and bringing glory to the House of Myth. The true threat to the Ascendancy has not yet been extinguished. Their foes do not send threats or ultimatums or mass ships on the edge of chaos. Their weapons come cloaked in smiles and generosity, gifts offered freely, services granted unconditionally. Across there's we got a political villain is what it is. There's I guess I can go on here. So I have more. Across the Ascendancy, seemingly inconsequential events could herald the doom of the Chiss as Thrawn and the expansionary defense fleet rally to uncover the enemy plot. They discover a chilling truth. Rather than invade Chiss capitals or pillage resources, this mysterious enemy strikes at the very foundation of the Ascendancy by widening the rifts between the 9 ruling families and 40 great houses below. As rivalry and suspicion sow discord among allies, each warrior must decide what matters most, the security of their family or their survival of the Ascendancy itself. As Varys would say, I want you to serve the realm. All right, here we go. Sorry, I forgot I had 2 paragraphs to read, Joseph, but political villain type of stuff, which we know Thrawn's not great at dealing with. What do you think about this stuff?
Yeah, I was really excited by this because it is different from some of the other Thrawn stuff we've seen. It pays off on some of the world building of the Chiss culture that I really did like in Chaos Rising. So I really like, that this whole description is basically like, here's a threat that Thrawn is just terrible at dealing with it, Mm-hmm. So how will he deal with? And this is one of those places that creates tension, because we know by the time he gets to the Empire, he's still not the best at politics, and he still needs allies around him who kind of help him with that. So it's not like he's suddenly going to become a master of it in this book. So that'll be really interesting if he recognizes it's an insidious plot where the enemy is, inside us, masquerading as us. How can I force that into an arena that I understand better in order to defeat them is really interesting to me. And then I also just like it is I know that Timothy Zahn will have his own take on it, but I like it when Zahn tackles themes that I think are really deep to Star Wars and puts his own stamp on them. And I like this theme of if the just kind of on one hand realize we're being infiltrated, we're being played against one another, but also at the same time, I really don't want my family or my house to lose influence. It really gets to this great Star Wars selfless versus selfish. Do you stand up for yourself, or do you elevate the whole to be more important than the individual?
This is to me is a great use of what he set up with the Chiss Ascendancy and just the 9 ruling families and all those kind of things that were present in the first book of Chaos Rising. I am infinitely more intrigued by this, Joseph, than I was with the other villain and stuff going on in the book. You and I, we don't gravitate towards Thrawn as much as other people do, to be honest. But sets up something really interesting to me, and something I probably wanted from Thrawn, to have Thrawn really, really challenged. I just don't feel Thrawn is challenged often by, all right, turn the cannons 4 degrees to the left. I studied the trash wastebasket and I love it. Great. I love it. Fine.
Yes,
it's great.
They do not understand right angles. And so,
For Thrawn to be confused, for Thrawn to be on his heels, it's politics, because that's driven in. We hear that in every book that in new canon, it is brought up at least 50 times. you're not really good at politics, Thrawn. I mean, you're good, Thrawn, but you ain't good at that stuff. Well, now let's drop him right into that water. Let's drop him in, and great use of the ruling families and other things that have been introduced to us here in the Chiss Ascendancy. I like that, man.
Yeah, me too. I enjoyed Chaos Rising more than I expected to, even though it's still never going to be my favorite flavor of Star Wars. I enjoyed it that it dove into Thrawn's character a little bit more, and that it really did great world building with the Chiss. So I'm really happy to see this story that's going in the directions of the things I really liked about that book.
Absolutely. It comes out May 4th, 2021, like I said. And yep, you guessed it, we'll be doing a deep dive in that future. Also, to celebrate 30 years of Thrawn. Oh my gosh, 30 years of Thrawn. Del Rey and the company out of print are releasing a $150 price to go special edition of Chaos Rising. And they're also going to release a t-shirt. If you just want to get Heir to the Empire on a t-shirt, you can get that too. Probably not $150. There's nothing really to say about it, Joseph. That's quite a collection there. That's quite a thing.
Yeah. I'm not going to save up my allowance for the book.
No, I'm not. But hey, 30 years of Thrawn, man. Let's reflect on that. That's kind of crazy, just from a standpoint of, I still remember the moment I plucked the paperback off the shelf at the grocery store in my hometown and said, "Oh, a new Star Wars book." Wow, 30 years. Woo.
Yeah.
Thrawn always, once he was introduced, he was kind of always there. It was one of those. Have you read the new Star Wars books? No, I heard there's that Thrawn guy. Talk of George is going to make more Star Wars movies. Maybe they'll do Episode 7 and Thrawn's the villain. As I said before, I wanted Jack Nicholson to play him. I mean, there you go. It's the early 90s. What are you going to do? So wait, do you get I won't even do it. And then now we got him coming back and triumphantly to new canon. Zahn returning as well. It's quite an impressive feat. What Thrawn's pulled off over 30 years, being present from just the pages of a book at first.
Yeah, no, I'm there with you. I got the hardcover. I did save up my allowance. It's like, new Star Wars, what? And cracked that open, and then, in those first pages, spoilers for a 30-year-old book, Obi-Wan's like, "Well, I got to go. I can't talk to you anymore, but enjoy your hot chocolate." And I was, I enjoyed the books, but even back then, long before I could ever imagine discussing Star Wars on, a podcast, because they did not exist. There were some parts of it that I was challenged by. I liked Thrawn. I thought Thrawn was cool, but I didn't have that. I know those books and Thrawn are, for a lot of people, that's their beginning for Star Wars. Mm-hmm. So I feel like I've gone on this great journey where I always liked Thrawn, but he wasn't a big deal to me. And I really like Thrawn now. I like the Thrawn that has emerged in new canon. I like his performance in Rebels. The art thing is just endlessly fascinating to me, that really taking that idea that through our art, a lot of people are making an effort to make a statement with art, but that art is subconscious too, and that individuals and cultures could be making statements about themselves that they don't even realize they're making. And then here's this guy who's a military genius, but is not entirely in touch with his own emotions or with other characters, other people, other sentient beings, but he can understand this limited idea of the way art connects to military choices. It's fascinating, and it's weird, and it makes you ask questions to me about, yourself and our own culture. And then on top of that, it's just fun that he has developed into Space Sherlock Holmes, as people call him, and that you can get that joy of like, well, I know he's going to beat everybody. And part of it is enjoying guessing how he did it and waiting for that paragraph where he's going to turn to his latest Watson and explain how he did it. And I've come to, it's not always my favorite, but I've come to really enjoy that element of Thrawn.
Yeah, I mean, I've taken those jokes, those little swipes at it too, of just like, I'll wait till Thrawn tells me what's going on. But when I'm always waiting for it, though. That's my point. I'm always like, cool. I can't wait for the cool explanation to come, and I'm with you on that too. But yeah, Thrawn, Heir of the Empire, that whole series, that kept the flame going. I say that a lot because I want a lot of people to hear that. It is true. The legend stuff, the EU stuff was Star Wars for a lot of people. Even if that wasn't the case necessarily for me, it was for a lot of people. And I always celebrate any entry points into Star Wars. And Thrawn there was something I loved about him. I used to make some little quotes of his. I remember back in the early 90s. I was trying to be a real deep high school kid. It's as Grand Admiral Thrawn said, if I may. But, he does do what you described, and they really use it quite well in the modern stuff and Rebels, of just using this character to kind of go into our own personal philosophies and how we act and our natures. And can you go against your nature? Is it impossible? Quite frankly, this sounds like a joke. It's like modern baseball stats that are so broken down where they're like, we know you might want to hit to left field, but you can't. So all of our fielders are going to be over here. And that's something that's new to the baseball because of computers and technology and everything. Computers. I said that like an old man. But I see that in Thrawn too. Jokes aside, where he's just like, I've studied you. I know you. And you're going to be you. And to win, you might have to do something, as we see with Ezra, you might have to do something that I just can't get from you, that I just can't connect with. That's interesting. And that's a good use of Thrawn right now. And I like that. So yay, Thrawn.
Yeah. I'm very happy for the Thrawn renaissance, for people who are coming to him now, and for people who have been fans of him for 30 years.
30 years. It is crazy. Well, that is our look at Star Wars news right now. Like I said, quiet week, but a lot to discuss. A lot of things. What makes a good villain and the philosophies of Star Wars. A lot of it all in this week's news. So we are going to move on. But before we do, we're going to take a quick break. And before that, remind you that we have an audiobook we think you should try out. Joseph, what do we got this week?
We are going to recommend the entire Aftermath trilogy by Chuck Wendig for reasons.
That is... for reasons. There you go. Download your free audiobook today. Go to audibletrial.com/ForceCenter. Again, that's audibletrial.com/ForceCenter for your free audiobook. All right, we are going to take a quick break and come back to answer your questions here on ForceCenter.